It doesn't feel like a change when it happens. That's the first thing to understand. There was no clear moment, no decision, no turning point. Life continued, same rhythm, same environments, same people, and yet somewhere inside, all that repetition, something in how you're received began to quietly adjust. You first notice it in contrast. A room where you used to speak and people naturally turn toward you. Now they don't turn quite as quickly. A conversation where your opinion once set the direction now continues without needing it. Nothing dramatic, nothing disrespectful, just a subtle reduction in response. And because nothing is visibly wrong, you do what most men do. You adapt without naming it. You speak a little more carefully, explain a bit more, try to be clearer, more relevant, more precise. And without noticing, you begin shaping yourself around how you think you're being received. But here's what usually goes unseen. The change wasn't only in how others respond to you, it was in how you started entering the moment. Earlier in life, you moved into conversations without much internal monitoring. You spoke from where you were not, from how you were being perceived, less distance between thought and expression, less checking. Over time, that gap quietly grows. You start observing yourself as you speak. You anticipate reactions before they happen. You adjust mid-sentence. You begin managing impressions without ever calling it that. And the more you do that, the less immediate your presence becomes. This is where most men get it wrong. They assume they need to improve what they're saying. But the real shift happened in how much internal processing started sitting between them and the moment itself. Because presence isn't just about content, it's about proximity. How close your words are to what you actually think before you start shaping them. When that distance increases, people feel it immediately. Even if they can't explain why your words become more correct but less alive, more considered but less compelling, more acceptable but easier to pass over. And slowly, without any formal decision, the room starts treating your input as optional. Not because you became less capable, but because your communication started carrying more management than immediacy. This is something I go deeper into in The Mature Man's Edge, because once you see how internal adjustment changes external perception, you stop trying to fix it by speaking differently. You start understanding where the distortion actually begins. There's another layer. Most men don't notice timing. You begin waiting longer before speaking. Not out of hesitation exactly, but refinement. You want to phrase it right, make it land properly. But in that delay, the conversation moves ahead of you. By the time you speak, you're no longer entering the moment, you're entering what's already been formed without you. Then something even subtler, you start reinforcing your own points. Not because they're weak, but because you want them fully understood. But what the room hears isn't strength. It hears completion and completed ideas. Don't invite engagement, they invite transition. So people move on. And here's the contradiction. Most men don't expect. The more effort you put into being understood, the more you sound like you're managing your own credibility in real time. And once that signal is present, people unconsciously reduce the weight they give your words. What I've just walked you through is only one part of a larger structure. The Mature Man's Edge lays out how these shifts form and how to reverse them without forcing yourself into performance or artificial confidence. Now imagine a different version of the same man. Same intelligence, same experience, same life. But in conversation, something is different. He speaks closer to the moment. He thinks something he doesn't, overshape it. He enters slightly earlier, leaves slightly sooner. And when he speaks, he doesn't keep adjusting it as it leaves his mouth. There is less distance between thought and expression, and the effect is immediate. Even if subtle people respond faster, they engage more directly. They don't treat his input as something to be processed and filtered. They treat it as part of the conversation's direction. Not because he became louder, but because he stopped separating himself from what he was saying. What changed about you wasn't a single event. It was a gradual increase in distance between you and your own presence in the moment. A quiet layering of awareness, refinement, and adjustment that made your communication more controlled but less immediate. And the moment you see that clearly, You stop trying to recover attention. You start returning to the point where your words don't need to be managed to be effective. This video only touches part of what needs to be understood. The Mature Man's Edge is the complete guide. Every chapter built for men over 40 who are ready to see these patterns clearly and stop compensating for them without realizing it. Link in the description, your copy is waiting. And if this perspective resonates with you, stay with the channel.